Good day to all. We're going to run through some tuning today, and as an example we're going to use the Mazda RX500, which is a very quick car. This is the stock setting. Nothing has been changed that I know of. I don't think anything's been changed. Oh, alright, well I've added all the equipment, but I haven't adjusted it. Okay, so take a look at the horsepower, 255 horsepower. Praiano, our tuner emeritus, says to change the oil. So we're going to go over and change the oil. And there we go. It's got 2.5 miles on it. Cool looking car. It's also very, very fast. Now, Praiano says to leave the chassis, which is this, improved body rigidity. When he puts chassis in the tune, that means to either add that or just leave it as it is. In this case, he says to leave it stock, so we won't adjust that. Now we're going to go into, we can go over here and check settings on the car. Now we'll have more than whatever there was before. 268 horsepower and 508 pp. This tune is for sport medium, so we're going to try that just for the heck of it. Suspension settings, he has got 90 and 100. I won't run through them, I'll just 770. You have to be pretty specific on these. It's easier with the controller. I'm using my wheel, but it's easier with the controller. 760, so he's got the two about the same. Time consuming when you make a mistake. I'm just trying to save you guys time. Alright. Front dampers, 10. Easy setting, and 4 on that one. This is probably 10. Very often he'll go opposite. Whatever the damper compression is, the extension will be opposite, and in this case it is 6 and 4. Now camber is always 0, 0, and you ask me why. That's because in GT6 camber doesn't mean anything, doesn't affect the performance at all. This is toe. That's 0. Very important to set these. Now your brake is racing brake, which we've got already. That's an option, and it is 6 and 3. Alright, so we go down to body. He's got 100 kilograms of ballast. That's a lot. It's a very light car as it is. And their weight reduction is standard, so I've added that, so our weight should match. Where are the kilograms? I'm blind, I can't see them. 950 kilograms, yes, and his tune is 950 kilograms. Now, ballast position is neutral. He's got it set at 0. And yeah, I'm just making sure of that. In other words, there. Frequently he'll put it here at the back, which means the back end will switch around fairly quickly if you go around a corner, but he likes to drive that way. I don't particularly like to drive that way. So if I run into a situation like that, sometimes I'll move it forward a bit. Now, the thing to remember on this car has 100 kilograms of ballast. That's like having a passenger beside you. Even if this had no ballast, absolutely none, moving this will change the handling of the car. If you put it to the front, it's going to change it. If you put it to the back, it's going to change it. So don't ignore this when you're trying to adjust your car. If it doesn't feel right, you can adjust this position of the ballast, even if there isn't any in the car. Keep that in mind. Transmission we'll leave to last. Drivetrain, this is the limited slip differential, LSD for short. 14 on the initial torque, 8. For acceleration sensitivity and braking is 30, so we're going to go up a bit here. Now he'll tell you also whether you want this clutch. He actually says a twin clutch. That makes a difference. Drive shaft is already standard. Power, let's see what he's got for power. Let's set it back to 100% and we'll set this to default just to make sure. Okay, he's got a sports computer. This is for 500 pp, by the way, and he's got a racing exhaust, isometric manifold, sports catalytic converter, tuned intake, which we already have, and normal turbo. So we're at 506 pp. Now we're going to set this to 500 pp. So what we can do is lower this to 500. You want it till it's just right there. It's 95% power, and that matches Praiano's figure exactly. So we've got the body set, we've got the power set, we've got the drivetrain set, we've got the suspension and brakes set, we've got the right tires on it, transmission. All right, we're going to set that to default, just for the heck of it. We are going to set the top speed. He calls it initial speed, but this is what you do, so listen carefully. You set that to 112. That matches his figure. Then you set, sorry, I did that backwards. Okay. First he says to set the final gear at 5,500. And you have to watch this carefully because sometimes it's not 5,500, sometimes it's 5,000. Like if that figure on the right is 5,500, sometimes you'll say 5,000. Sometimes you say 2,500, it depends on the car. But for this one it says 5,500, which we've done. Here we go, and we're going to set that at 112 miles an hour. If you're using kilometers, obviously it's going to be different. But he puts both there. It's 180 kilometers per hour or 112. Now, we're going to set the first gear to 4107, right to the top, the shortest gear possible there. 2733. This one will be a bit less. 2733. Much easier with the controller. All right, 1996, good year. 1952 was a good year. That's the year I was born. Okay, 1996. Yep. No, I'm recording a video. Good luck. Get two if you can. Okay, that was my daughter going into the store asking me if I needed something. 1523 for this one. This is the fourth gear. Alright, and this one should be right at the top. No. Ooh, something's wrong. 1181. Oh yes, okay, 1181. Okay, so we think we're set up, right? But we're not. We have to go back and adjust this figure to 2,800. 2,800. 2.800. Now, as we move this, see how your top speed is increasing? Up there, that graph on the left, just to the left of this, see how that's increasing? 2,800. It's going to be pretty fast. It's almost 200 miles an hour. This is a fast car. Alright, so 2,800, bang on. Now, this car will go about, that is 200, where that top fifth gear is right now. It's about 200. Now, you never get 200 out of this car. It'll be maybe 180, maybe 185. Now, once you've got this all set, how are you going to know it's tuned? You go up here, and I always put PT tuned. Oh, obviously some. Oh yeah, this is my other account. PT tuned. It's kind of superfluous. All right, PT tuned for space 500 pp. Okay, so now we know that this car is tuned for 500 pp. Everything matches up here. Below that, we've got it all done. Now, we're going to take that car out at some point, and we're going to drive it at Sarth, let's say. And it's going to top out. It's going to redline. Actually, let's go and see where it does redline. Okay. Test drive. What's the fastest straight? Not trying to think of one that won't take too much time. No. Yes. All right. Let's use that because it's got a good straight, and we'll see how it goes. The first straight. I don't know what the settings are, but we're going to give it a shot. Let's start. Get this show on the road. Sports medium are nice tires. And yes, I drive with the driving light on. Alright, let's see how we top out. We've got a 5-speed transmission. This is a very long straight. There's another one on the back end of this course. We're going up a little bit here. And we'll go straight down. Okay, this is pretty good. Okay, let's back out a bit. If we were to do the back straight, we would reach the red line. But we don't have to do that because I know it's going to reach it. But let's take a shorter track, and I'll show you what we'll have to do. Oh, this is a little bit slow. Where is Tsukuba? That's a very short track. It's a real track as far as I know. Tsukuba. Let's use that one. Now, Tsukuba's a tough technical track. Actually, the reason I tuned this car is for this track. There's a seasonal on right now for Tsukuba. So, let's just give it a shot. Now, you're going to have to follow me around for the whole bunch of it, but I think you'll see what I mean. Okay, so here we go. This is the longest straight of the course. It's actually quite a short straight. You'll see on the back. This one is about the same length, but it's shorter yet. See, we're only in third, right? All right, we move up to fourth. We never get fifth in this car on this part of the track anyway. I've always had problems with this corner. So essentially a dead stop. And we're going to reach fifth. Nope. See where we end up here. No, we're still on fourth. So what we're going to do here, this is just a test to show you something. We're going to go into settings. Now this is our stock tune, but we have these two other tabs. And if we're going to adjust something, we don't want to do it on this one. So we're going to copy the settings to C. Yes. Okay, so now A and C are the same. Let's go to C. Now I put here A, D, J. So that will tell me that that tune has been adjusted. So it's there should be a space there, but anyway. Okay, so for transmission, we're going to go down. We're not going to touch anything else because the important thing is that graph. This is 2800. Those gears are pretty long. Let's change it to ridiculously low to 3500. Now see how our top speed is changing? Everything else in the tune is the same. We've just shortened the final drive ratio. Let's see where we go now. The car should be accelerating substantially faster. And we may even redline before the end of the straight. But I think the point will be evident. Alright, here we go. Now you can see we're accelerating a fair bit faster than our Ghost, which is behind us. That's half a second on the first part of the track. And the reason for that is because the gears are shorter. We're accelerating faster. Our top speed is less, but on this track it doesn't matter one bit. See, we're almost 3/4 of a second behind. Now the test is here. Will we reach 5th? No, we won't even. Okay, we're almost a second faster, only because we adjusted the final drive ratio. But you can tell that we didn't have adjusted enough because we still weren't redlining at the end of that straight. So that is how to tune. Here, the final drive was 2800. Remember we set that? Here, we adjusted it to 3500, as I recall. We could probably go down to 3750 and redline at the end of the straight. Let's do 37. I'm not going to run it through because I don't want to bore you, but 3700. So that's what you do. Everything else is the same. The power is the same. The weight's the same. The only thing we're doing now is adjusting the top speed of the car. And if you lower the top speed of the car, you accelerate much more quickly through the corners. This wouldn't work for Sarth, it wouldn't work for Nürburgring, it wouldn't work for midfield, because all of those have very long straights. And you don't want your car redlining before the end of the straight, otherwise everybody will be passing you. Lots of information. I hope you guys can understand what I was saying, and I hope it's self-explanatory with the video, so we'll see you later. Thanks for watching.